I'm Mike.
I'm Jason.
Welcome to Snake Envy. You had an interesting conversation with a customer today, and this week, and it kind of piggybacks one of our recent videos on feeding. So we figured we would talk about this one because it's a good one. It's a little less controversial than it was in the past because most people are feeding frozen thawed these days compared to live. But we're going to talk a little bit about kind of the pros and cons of live versus frozen thawed feeding, and maybe put some people at ease about live feeding in general. There are some advantages, actually. So right off the bat, what if my snake will only eat live? Whether it's a temporary situation when it's young, or it's been 3 years and I still can't get it to eat frozen thawed. Is that the end of the world?
No. I understand a lot of people don't have access to live, and so that's definitely the biggest hang-up about it. But I used to breed rodents, and it's a dirty job, but there's something about feeding your snakes live. Like, you can get that perfect size and they get that natural instinct to attack their prey, so to speak. And so there's definitely pros and cons about it. I think it's good to feed them live. It's maybe, I like the frozen aspect where, there's less parasites from freezing.
Of course. I think the topic of, frozen versus live always seems to be a black and white one, and there is some nuance. There is some gray area there. It is possible that you'll have an individual snake that no matter what you do, no matter what you try, you've exhausted every trick in the book, you simply can't get it to eat frozen thawed, and it does happen. So first off, let's put everybody at ease. Just like Jason said, not the end of the world. It happens. You could end up with one of those snakes. The last resort should be waiting, I would say, about 6 weeks without feeding, and then see if it'll take frozen thawed. But the other thing we'll mention is fresh kill. I don't think this gets brought into the conversation as often as it should. Some snakes who will only eat live will eat fresh killed.
Yeah.
The kill is fresh enough. The odors and the scents from live food, which are stronger, are still there.
The heat, the oxygen,
the warmth,
leaving the lungs.
Exactly.
They can sense that coming out of the nose.
Yeah.
And so they know that's where they start. I've had a lot of snakes that like live, but they'll eat a fresh kill.
Yes. We're not going to go into the details about fresh killing. There's a variety of methods. You can pick your poison, so to speak. But that's one thing we wanted to leave people with who believe that their snake is hopeless in terms of eating anything other than live prey. Fresh killed often will work, and fresh killed is often the best transition to eventually frozen thawed. One thing I recommend as a last resort trick: fresh kill a smaller prey item than you would normally feed, and then have also a smaller thawed, and let the snake take both. And that'll generally trigger for the snake that, hey, this one really wasn't any different than this one. They were both good.
Yeah.
But there are some advantages to feeding live. One of those that I know you're very conscious of, because the health of your snakes is so important, is knowing what they ate, the prey.
Oh, for that, it's a huge thing for me today. And I had a talk with a friend about this today as well, but a friend of mine asked me if it was okay to feed live, and I said, yeah, sure, it's fine. It's totally fine. The snake would probably enjoy it too. I'm always mindful what I'm putting into my snakes. Just like as a person, I want to eat quality foods. I don't I'm mindful what I put in my body. Your animal is only as good as what you feed it. If you're feeding mice to your snake that's been on a diet of dog food and not getting all the vitamins and minerals they need, and they're just kind of rough and scraggly, and it's just not good for your animal. It's, like I said, it's the same for people. You don't want to put bad things into your body. So
Yeah. Sometimes going and buying live animals, you can actually ask to see what they're eating. You can talk about their diet. Or if you're buying live from a private individual, same thing. You get to go and you get to see firsthand how they're being taken care of. We don't always get that peek behind the curtain when we buy prey online. We're fortunate because we have a local supplier that you know well and trust, and therefore I trust them. And so we know what we're getting, and we can actually go pick it up locally, even though they're shipping out all over the world. But you can definitely know with greater certainty when you buy live. Now again, just because you bought, this is a point that I don't think gets emphasized enough, just because you bought live prey doesn't even necessarily mean that you have to feed it live. You can always fresh kill and freeze what you purchase live. So the point of that being that these frozen rodent mills aren't the only option for obtaining prey. What about costs? Live versus frozen?
The thing I noticed the most is frozen thawed, because you're buying in bulk generally.
Yeah.
And so you're going to get a better deal with frozen thawed, frozen animals. Usually because you're buying hundreds of animals at a time. You're not buying 2 or 5 or whatever it may be. But so that is a good way to save a few bucks, is buying bulk and frozen. And there's many suppliers.
Yep.
Throughout this country.
Absolutely. Frozen thawed has one very big advantage over live feeding, and that's convenience.
Yeah.
Your prey, my prey, they're just a few steps away in the freezer.
Yeah.
No trips to the pet store or to the private seller to get the prey. So there's no question that frozen thawed feeding is more convenient. It's safer for snakes. If you supervise your live feedings, always supervise your live feedings. Never leave prey and the snake alone together. If your snake is not eating that prey within a few minutes of you watching, it's probably best to wait, try again next week if that snake will only eat live. Never leave frozen thawed prey, or never leave live prey in overnight. That's the other advantage of frozen thawed prey. Snake doesn't take it right away. You leave it, you can leave it in overnight if need be.
Right. Where alive, I've seen in my house where a rat turn the tables on a snake after a day or two.
Yes.
And I've seen holes getting ate into snakes, and it's, so that's one big advantage of frozen. You don't have to worry about that, and
Absolutely.
and fresh kill too.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. The last thing I would say is it doesn't have to be either or. I do give my frozen thawed eaters live prey a few times throughout the year. I think it's valuable stimulation. There's a lot of ways that we can provide our snakes stimulation and enrichment. Live prey is one of them. It gives them a chance to exercise those mental and physical muscles that frozen thawed prey just doesn't provide. We've all experienced snakes who go from aggressively and rapping, and even though it's frozen thawed, to eventually they just kind of casually come up to it and start eating.
Yeah.
It's good for them to experience that live feeding once in a while and exercise those muscles and have those instincts that are within them fire a little bit. So I think the last thing I would say is it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can mix in live feedings once in a while, even for frozen thawed feeders, and it definitely benefits them in ways. Anything else?
Just do what works best for you. That's what I always say.
And it's not always going to be the same for every snake.
Right.
You might have that one straggler.
I have a handful of them here that I have to feed live still,
Yeah.
and it could be a major inconvenience. Luckily, I have a good source.
Yeah.
And I don't mind feeding live. I actually kind of like it. But it is a convenience factor for sure.
Oh, absolutely. It's a good thing that we've moved to frozen thawed and that frozen thawed is so readily available. We are not trying to suggest that everybody switch to live feeding. We're simply saying that when that choice is the only choice you have, don't feel bad about it. It's better that your snake eats and is healthy, and you can do it safely, and you can do it in ways that actually sometimes have some advantages. Please like and comment and subscribe. We look forward to doing some episodes just based on your questions. So let us know what questions you have about feeding. Let us know what questions you have about live. Thank you.
Thanks.